Hello there and well done, you have received your Harvest Right freeze dryer. It might be the XL version or the large or the medium, whatever, it's the same installation procedures. So, first you have to unpack obviously the machine and take care of the pump. Once you have taken care of the little lid that comes on top of this, then you need to take a look at this hose and make sure that you have the joint inside. Once you've got this, you'll see that there is a little gap here, and when I actually screw this on, I always make sure that I'm trying to pull this to leave this gap on. So I'm taking this on the pump, turning it, sorry, with one hand it's tricky, and then pull it upwards while I'm screwing it in. Now, very important, never use any tools with it. Everything is done by hand, okay? And that's enough. You do the same thing for here. There are no left or right. It's the same one. Now, the pump, you're gonna have to put the oil in. So the oil came with the machine, and this is the oil filter, which acts also as the place where you put the oil in. Now, you see that joint? Make sure that it's always in at the right place, okay? Don't take it off, don't move it. Now, this is where the oil goes in, and basically you're gonna put about a liter of oil, so it goes to the middle here, or a little bit above, but never below, never above, okay? Now, once you are done that, you are going to screw this on gently, up, like so, and that's about it. This always stays on, never touches that, and this is to drain the oil. Now, you can drain the oil every 20 to 30 batch, and you can filter it in the Harvest Right oil filter can, or you can change it altogether. Personally, I change it altogether, but it's a personal choice. Now, at the back of the machine here, you've got an on-off switch. Always leave it on and make sure that this pump is connected to the back of the machine. Never connected to the wall, ever. Don't do it. It's made to be connected with the machine. It's the machine that decides whether it kicks in or not, okay? Now, this is for the pump, honky-dory. Personally, I always leave it under the machine. So try to get a table where you can put it under the machine. And I always have a fan that blows onto it. You have to understand that the colder the room the machine is in, the faster the actual process of freeze drying will go. Now, this is your machine. Now you need to plug it into the wall, and once it's plugged in, you've got an on-off switch button at the back, and this will give you the screen. This screen will say no name here, so you can put your own name by clicking on it and put your name on. That's easy peasy. Then you've got different types of things you can do in there, but first I'm going to show you what to check. First, you should have here nothing hanging out, and basically you need to have this hanging out. So this part is actually inside the machine, so you need to take it off gently and it will come off, no problem. And you have this, which is the valve to open and close. When you run the freeze dryer, it's always closed, obviously, otherwise the pump will try to make the vacuum in your whole kitchen. So we don't want that. So try to make sure that it's always closed when you start the machine. This is in. I'm going to open this just to show you what it's like. And basically you've got this black rubber ring that you can take off easily. This black ring needs to be clean at all time. If there is a little bit of dust or something here, then it will let the air in, and you don't want that. This is the cassette where the trays are going. You've noticed that there is no orange pad here. The orange pads are here, and these are the heating plates to heat the food while it's completely frozen and so on and so forth. Now, this usually comes in plugged in, but sometimes it's not plugged in, so you need to make sure that you take it off gently and have a look at the back and see if it's plugged in or not. Now the cable you've got there, can sometimes be in the way when you put back the machine, so make sure that it's not, and you can hold it on the side while you put this back on. You want this to be leveled as much as you can, and then we're gonna put it, you're gonna put the rubber ring back in, up, make sure that it's nice and tight, and that's fine. Then try it with the door closed. Perfect, that works. Now, once you've got that in, machine is plugged in, the pump is plugged in with the oil. Let's go. First screen, Leo Robots. As I told you, you can change the name. Then you can click on the middle of the screen, Harvest Right, and that will give you a few instructions. Basically, you can change, well, it gives you the number of batches it did, the factory number, the system hours, the pump hours, and so on and so forth. And you can choose to switch between degrees Fahrenheit and Celsius. And also you can decide when the process completes to leave the pump on. This is what I do personally because it keeps the food nice and safe. So I would recommend you do the same, but to each own its decisions. Now, that was clicking on Harvest Right. Then you've got this button here, the hidden one, that will give you the functional testing of the machine. So here it shows you the pressure, and if I click on vacuum, here it will kick the pump running. You can hear it. So it's not very loud at all, and it gets quiet as the pump goes in. But basically you can see now the milliliters are going down. So the pump is doing its work. And then you can click on the freeze, and the freeze will kick in the freezing part of the machine. So to freeze dry, basically all this outer ring will be completely frozen, and when it's frozen and the food is frozen, it will pull a vacuum with this, and once the vacuum is pulled, it will start heating the plates here, and then starts the freeze drying process. So vacuum is working. Usually when it's running in the process of freeze drying, the milliliters go to below 500, okay? If it doesn't go below 500, then you've got an issue, usually. So that was the functional testing, okay? Now the third thing is customization. This screen is important. The initial freeze is set to minus 23 degrees here. This machine will go to minus 28 maximum. And then you pull a vacuum and this minus 28 turns into a minus 35. But basically, what I do to go very fast and to save myself a lot of money and a lot of time is that I pre-freeze the food. So you put it in your freezer at minus 20 first for 2 days, and then I move the actual platter and put it in there once it's frozen at minus 20. So the machine here just has to go from minus 20 to minus 28. And if you want to save even more time, you can get it down to minus 17 or minus 23. You have to do your own test and try. Extra freeze time. If you pre-freeze your food, you don't have to use any of that. The dry temperature. If you go above 40 degrees, it's considered to be cooked for any food. Even though it doesn't look like it's cooked, if you want to really keep everything, I would suggest that you stick to under 40 degrees. Now, obviously, the higher you go, the faster it will take. If you go above 51 degrees, the machine goes into candy mode. So that's to do all your Skittles and everything, okay? But that's not what we're talking about right now. So I'll just bring it down. Myself, I like a good 40 degrees. It takes a little bit longer, but it's so much nicer. Then extra dry time. When the machine has finished, it will tell you that it has finished. And basically, I'll show you in a minute, but it will tell you it has finished, and you need to open the machine and basically try the food. If the food is cold, if it's a bit chewy, then it's not done. So you need to put it back on and click on more dry time. When you do that, the more dry time for me will be 4 hours. Because I'm in the kitchen, I don't have time to check every couple of hours. So after the service is done, I will go and check it up. But basically, you can change that, put the number of hours you want, and that's it. Just save, okay? Now, I'm just going to show you what we do. When you click on start for the first time, it will ask you which pump you use. This is the one that will be in the middle of the screen, and this is the Premier oil pump, okay? The other type of pumps you can have is this one, and this is the oilless pump. It's a lot more expensive, but it's a very good pump also. Now, when you start, first click on start. Whoops, I'm gonna do it on this one. Sorry, because I just started this one. So up, click on start, and then it says cooling vacuum chamber, wait for 15 minutes. During that time, you see it's in Fahrenheit here. I didn't put it in degrees, this one. In Celsius, sorry. So cooling vacuum chamber. When it's cooling the vacuum chamber, it's basically making sure that all the outer rings here, the inside, are getting completely frozen. Once it's done, in 15 minutes, then I will be able to, I'll just show you, it will go and say that, load the trays and close the drain valve. So I would take the trays from the freezer, shove it in the machine, close the machine, make sure that I close the drain valve and don't leave it open, and then click on continue. Now the machine will do 3 different types of cycles. The first one will be freezing, where it will go from -20, for example, to something else. Here you can see it warms you on the warm room temperature. It's too hot where I am just now, so it may be longer. So basically, if you want the machine to be very efficient, just make sure that you have a fan blowing at it and that it's under 25 degrees in your kitchen. So this step will basically freeze the product. If you take it from -20 and you have asked the machine to not go above 20, it will then straight away go into that mode, which is vacuum freezing. Here it will kick off the pump and basically bring down the milliliters to -500, and it will start actually vacuum freezing the machine. After that, the job will happen and it will turn into drying. During that time, it could take up to 24-30 hours. It really depends what's in there. When it's finished, it will tell you it's finished and the machine will beep and you'll have this. Here you've got several options. The first one, you open the valve on the left of the machine, you let the air back in. When you open the valve, you don't open it in one go, you go slowly, don't break it. So go slowly and then open the door and then try it. If it's cold, if it's wet, if it looks a bit chewy, it's not done. So put it back in and click on more dry time. And that will go for either 2 hours or 2:30, 3, 4, 5, whatever you decide to set it up, okay? Once you're done, once the product is okay, you can take everything off, and either you don't have any other batch going on and you click on no defrost, leave the machine open, and all the water from the outer ring will evaporate and will basically go in there. So from the machine down to the sink. So make sure you put a bottle or something if you don't have a sink nearby. And then you can click on defrost, and by closing the machine, it will bring up all the heating pads and it will go very fast, and in 2 hours it will be completely done. So no water left in the machine, and you can start basically a new batch. And then you've got warm trays. Sometimes if you haven't let the pump running, it's important to make sure that, hang on, up, I'll just stop it. It's important to make sure that you warm the trays to get the food basically to the right temperature when it comes out. Again, if the food is cold, it's not good. You want the food to be at room temperature, and then it makes sure that it's actually done. There you go. If you have any questions, give us a bell. Take care and enjoy your freeze drying. The first batch should be done with the bread, because there is a smell inside the machine. The first smell, it will get rid of that. Have fun!